Nightfall is a game that I saw at my friendly local game store. It was on sale, and I'm just a big sucker for things that are discounted somehow. Also, it had nice art on the cover, fantasy theme, that's something I like. It seemed to offer great flexibility in terms of gameplay because you can play to competitive with up to 6 players, although it's always in teams, so 1 versus 1, 2 versus 2, or 3 versus 3. And in that case, you have a confrontation between demons and knights, all controlled by players. It can be played cooperative with a deck of cards that will control the actions of the demons. It can also be played as a campaign, so you have basically a game book in which you start reading the paragraphs, make choices, maneuver on a map, and some paragraphs will describe a situation in which you set up a board, you fight a confrontation against automated demons, and you continue like this until the end of the campaign. So the situation, we're in an abbey, which is created by using these tiles that you place in different configurations, and they have unique effects, so the board will change from game to game. And the demons are trying to sneak in, so the knights are protecting the abbey, and the elders are keeping the portal shut, and the demons want to kill the elders so that the portal will open, and the knights are trying to protect the elders and destroy the demons. The standees and the art, everything looks pretty nice, but as you can see, the board can get pretty cluttered with all the elders everywhere. Pretty busy. And I have to say something about the art. It is nice, but the two sides are a little too samey for me. If I just look at this board, it's not obvious. These pieces, not obvious to me which one is the hero and which one is the villain. Yes, this is the good guy. All of the knights look just a little bit evil for my taste. The villains often look like villains, but maybe she's just a goth hero. No, she is a demoness. That's what the card says. Because each knight and demon has a card where you will place a tracker with the health for the demons and with the health and the defense value for the knights. The demons will score points mainly by killing the elders and so inflicting hits on them until the health tracker reaches 0. And they also score points by killing the knights, but not nearly as many. 2 points per elder, 1 point per knight. The knights will score points by killing the demons, 1 point per demon. And also simply they score a point automatically, just like that, at the end of every turn, just for showing up. Well, the dawn is approaching, and so as long as the knights are protecting the elders for long enough, the demons will lose the confrontation. So that is the rationale. So again, the main emphasis is not on killing the piece of the opponent directly, but spreading out and doing these other things. So each... Also, you see other pieces, the golems are controlled by the heroes, and then you have the incubi controlled by the demons. And different characters may also have other effects. So each character in play will have their own card, and you alternate, so you have demon, hero, demon, hero, and at the end of the sequence you will place a token to remind you of the various functions that need to be performed at the end of the round. Each character has a basic card, looking exactly like that. And then at the beginning of their turn, each character will draw 3 cards from a deck. There is a deck of cards for the demons and 1 for the knights. And each card can be used in 1 of 3 ways. So you will have a hand of 4 cards at the beginning of your turn, your basic card, and 3 that you just drew. Cards that have an effect, you can play it to do what the effect says, and that is usually the most powerful way to use them. They also have symbols here representing different things that you can do, such as healing, for example, moving twice, healing twice, 2 heals or 2 range attacks. Also these symbols here. each character has a unique effect, which is pretty powerful, that can be used when you spend 2 of those icons. And basically that means that this card here, which I drew and just lost, there you go, this card here would allow me to use that effect of the Demoness. Each card also has a basic effect printed on the back. They're all the same, and that means that if you play the card for that effect, you execute a single one of those, such as interact with your imps, 1 move, 1 range, 1 melee, 1 heal, or 1 to pay toward the effect, so you would need 2 of these cards if you wanted to activate that effect using the back of the cards. So again, each card can be used in 3 ways, with the exception of your basic card that only has these symbols here. There's no building or managing your hand really, because you draw your 3 cards and at the end of your turn you discard them all. So next turn you'll start your turn with your basic card and get 3 more cards and plan at that point. The action, and the same applies to the knights. The knights also have the ability of increasing their defense. We'll see how that is important. Once you have that, things are pretty basic. You spend a move action to, wait for it, move on the board. Yeah, like so. You spend a melee attack to inflict damage on somebody in your same space. You spend a range attack to inflict damage on somebody adjacent to you, orthogonally not in your space. As you move, there may be effects that you implement when you enter certain areas. The action of healing is what you imagine, you recover. And those are basically the other things. The imps, you spend actions to move and to use them to attack the elders. And that's the basic thing. And for the other party, for the heroes, again, move, attack, use your unique ability. As I said, they also have, the knights, the ability of performing a defense. So if a knight has at least 1 defense point available, they can actually, and somebody's attacking an elder in an area adjacent to them, then the knight can move in, really like jumping, in front of the danger, basically blocking the attack with their body, and they can take damage, spending at least a defense point, and also spending their life if they so wish. So, for example, I suppose I'm going in to prevent a damage of 3, then I spend 1 defense and I spend 2 health. I could also choose instead to spend 2 defense and 1 health. So that's how defense works, is the main extra action that the knights have, because again, remember, you need to keep them alive because they are a major source of points for the opponent. So the idea is always the same. Knights are trying to kill the elders, and the demons are trying to kill the elders, and occasionally the knights. The knights are trying to protect the elders, wait until morning, and occasionally kill some of those demons. And that's a general idea which you find, again, in both the competitive version, the cooperative version, and also the campaign version. This is a nice little game. Not great, maybe, not epic, but nice. What I like is the simplicity of the general idea, and yet some interesting tactical decisions that emerge from this very crowded battlefield. I would say there is a smidge of asymmetry with the 2 teams being concerned with pure slaughter or delaying, protecting, and the occasional slaughter of the opponent, and more specific asymmetry with the powers and abilities of the heroes and the villains, because they do work in different ways, from people that can place portals, so they can interact with ice and create golems, also the different things, and that is nice. You are probably gonna see more villain deaths than knight deaths, at least that was my experience. So hey, if you like that part, you get to try more characters, because no player is ever out of the game You score points for eliminating a character or the opponent, and then the player gets a new opponent there. So the number of characters is fixed and no one is ever removed from the game. And really, the board, while being small, does feel like it changes quite a bit. Early on, it's very hard for the knights to protect everybody because there are so many elders that are like low-hanging fruits for the demons, and they are likely to be able to score some early kills. Then things become a little more tactical because then the demons need to prioritize where to go, and the knights have to figure out indeed which targets will be targeted next. A lot of nice, interesting things. I like card-driven games because of the balance between randomness and strategy and tactics that they can create. Here, however, I'm not sure what the idea was with the fact that you cannot save cards from one turn to the next, because that I thought that emphasizes the random element a little bit more than I wanted. It is possible for a knight to be able to go later in the game and rescue anybody because you don't get the right cards, and that is just a fact. That just may happen. You can't build a combo. So I'm not sure what the advantage was there, but that's the decision that was made. This is the game that we have. And with all the variety of how the characters interact at the local level and the interesting challenges that the different combinations create, however, the overall script tends to be a little samey overall. And so after a couple of times that I played, I started feeling that, yeah, it was nice to try to use the demoness or that other character, but ultimately the script, the general structure, general architecture tended to repeat itself a lot, and because that's the idea. So what we have here is a nice, interesting tactical puzzle with a little too much randomness for my taste, and the replay value that turned out to be not as much as I expected, especially considering the variety of characters that you have. But it's killing, delaying, and so you're always, juggling around those few actions in a battlefield which is not that large overall. But again, I also appreciate the ability of being able to play competitive or cooperative. The campaign, well, maybe by that time, again, I had started to feel the sameness of it, so I appreciated the general idea. Maybe, if you play the game a couple of times, let some time pass before you play the campaign, and maybe actually try not to play the campaign all in one evening like I did. So, in general, there are some minor minuses here and there, which don't make this game a bad game in my book at all. They make it an interesting game to pick up from time to time, but not one that I would pick up too often, again, because the replay value, the sameness has tended to creep in for me after a couple of times that I played the game. And this is my assessment of Nightfall.